Dear Massimo, it's great to see you here at the Aviation Festival Asia in Singapore. We are at a unique time. It's very interesting to see the airlines at this event. You had AWS had event pre the conference, and you had a lot of the solution providers as well of some airlines attending. Can you give us an idea what was the most interesting and what were the key takeaways from your event?
So, thank you for having me here. Massimo, Global Head of Travel here at AWS. We are here at the Aviation Festival Asia. It's a great event, but obviously due to the recent events that are occurring in the Middle East, we are seeing a lower participation. Yesterday, actually on Tuesday, we have our own internal event that was open to everybody, in which we were presenting some of our key customers and some of the technology providers that can actually support the industry into digital transformation. We also have been affected. We have been affected. In fact, a couple of speakers were not participating. However, we still had a decent participation of attendees, and we talked about what is happening today, how actually ML/AI, generative AI, and agentic AI is actually transforming travel. We are seeing a lot. For example, the impact of the current event is putting pressure on margins. So increase of automation in which ML/AI can actually support airline and travel supplier to reduce costs. This is an aspect that we are seeing. Another aspect we are seeing is the constant digital transformation acceleration, and therefore improving operational efficiency and enhancing customer experience across the board.
Which is long-term, not going to stop.
On the short term, we are going to see a bit more of crunching on the cost side. So we are going to start initiative for optimization of infrastructure use. If you are not using the cloud as it is intended to be and tying up the IT cost to your volume of transaction, then you are doing something wrong. So what if the volume of transaction are going down, your IT costs should go down as well. So we are doing a series of education and workshop with our customers to help them on that. We are bringing in our solution architect expert to sit down with the customer to do optimization of the infrastructure. These are things that are ongoing. Other things that we are seeing is we are helping partners, for example, on irregular operation. We were having IGT solution that were presenting their own solution for managing passenger accommodation, passenger communication. We are seeing activities around modern airline retailing, how to support existing customers, existing traveler on a better retailing, so accessing more relevant product, more personalized product, and how Australia is helping their own customer to deliver this product. We are seeing Casada, for example, that is a partner of ours, that is monitoring traffic against digital asset of airline, website and mobile app, to see if there is robotic traffic, if there is bot access. When those are hitting your website that are costing you infrastructure costs and not delivering any value to the customer. And therefore, they're able to monitor, filter, and block this kind of traffic. They can actually protect your website against malicious attack and like stealing credential and stealing loyalty credentials, so identity theft and so forth. These are the partners we are working very closely that are relevant for travel and hospitality. And obviously we had SpiceJet that was presenting their digital transformation journey with Kamal and Ashish, the Chief Commercial Officer and Chief Information Officer, that they were showing how their transformation, their organization, and how they are starting insourcing technology and enabling their workforce, enabling their developer to develop more effective solution internally using generative AI and so forth. This is what is happening today. And yesterday, funny enough, here at the event, we had Korean Air, the CIO of Korean Air, that was presenting how they are now fulfilling the vision of being the most loved airline in the world and using generative AI and agentic AI to support their organization to get customer 360, to get a better contact center technology, replying to customer inquiries in their own languages and so forth, as well as fuel optimization strategies. These are things that are day in and day out activities we are working on.
To be honest, I think data will be a new fuel.
Yes.
And at some point, probably not now, but we will see the data costs clearly, rising and quite importantly. Can I ask you, between the types of airlines, so you mentioned SpiceJet, which is a low-cost carrier in India, and you mentioned Korean Air, which recently launched a very big rebranding transformation.
Yes.
In the way they approach AI implementation and solutions that they're asking from you, is a different approach between the full-scale airline and low-cost or not?
Okay, traditionally there has been a distinction between low-cost and full-service carriers. Low-cost carriers are not low cost of being cheap fare, but is actually optimizing a lot of their infrastructure use.
Yeah.
So we are seeing airlines like Southwest, like Ryanair, that are a relatively flat organization. They are hiring a lot of developers, they are hiring a lot of analysts, and they are actually developing their own application. The famous Panini predictors for Ryanair, but actually the recent innovation they put in place for the employee app for their flight and their crew, their flight crew, so they can actually do very mundane tasks like requesting time off, doing swap of their shift, but also getting information about end of shift report, day of operation, compliance and training, monitoring of their certification, communication across the organization, as well as with the customer themselves. Today, when you fly Ryanair, through the traveler's app, you can connect with the employee app, that is the flight attendant app, and order in flight your meals, your coffee, your services, your ancillary, and the message goes directly to the flight attendant, as the flight attendant is able to serve you. What are the benefits of this? The benefit is clearly payment is seamless because it's done through the mobile app. The organization is able now to track who you were, what you order, when you order, how you enjoy these things, and help into catering better to the customer, loading the right material, the right food, the right ancillary that they want to provide on the plane. So they are actually collecting information about the customers as well. That is particularly important because they can serve the customer better. This is what the low-cost carriers are doing. Large carriers, traditional full-service carriers, are much larger organizations, so you have more structured interaction, for example, with marketing, with sales, and IT, and so forth. So they are. I don't want to say they are slower in adopting technology, but they have a bit more structured approach, more rigid approach, in which it is a muscle that they have to train to become much more agile, to experiment more with the technology, having access to the technology like cloud technology off the shelf, so you can actually pick it up, try it out, test it, implement whatever you want, and then deploy if it works, on dispose if you don't, and pay only what you use. So it is a bit different pace that they are operating, but they are all trying to achieve the same objective.
Massimo, thank you so much for joining us at Aviation Festival Asia here in Singapore. Very interesting times. Never easy, never boring.
Easy.
Obviously, everybody's talking about the fuel surcharges, fuel prices, and instability of Middle East. I have a different question for you.
Yes.
Data is a new fuel.
Yep.
With what we're seeing with the fuel rising, with the increasing risk of data connectivity between Asia and Europe,
yes.
What AWS is doing and how AWS can give us a comfort on the solutions that are implemented for the security data, stability of data, the hosting, and other potential risks in the current situation.
So we have a global infrastructure. We are present in 38 regions across the globe. Every region has multiple availability zones, and each availability zone has multiple data centers inside it. So that gives the comfort of the reliability of the region and redundancy of it. Of course, the Middle East is impacted, but our recommendation is always to deploy into a multi-availability zone inside the region, so if one goes down, the other can pick up. But recently, especially for the event in the Middle East, to deploy multi-region, so you can easily shift and balance the traffic wherever it is. Traditionally, it is important to stay very close to your customers. When you are deploying, for example, your website, you want to deploy the website in the region that is targeting your specific customers. So
if you speed of
exactly,
yeah.
So speed of access and so forth. So it takes a bit more thinking on how you do this because it's cloud, so it is you can easily access a global infrastructure, while before you have only your own data center. So there is a lot of thinking about that. Clearly, airlines are looking to have a very stable infrastructure that is closer to their customer and very secure infrastructure. AWS has hundreds of certification. It is the most secure cloud that is out there. And it is interesting that we are actually certainly more secure than any possible data center because we have millions of active customers that are stress testing the security and reliability of our infrastructure. So to satisfy the requirement of every single of our customers, whenever we make an improvement for all our customers. So certification like PCI compliant, FedRAMP, HIPAA compliant, so forth. We have a variety of services that are all certified and that we can ensure the security and stability of the platform.
Massimo, it's great seeing you in Aviation Festival Asia here in Singapore. Interesting time indeed. We covered in the previous episode the AWS approach to the data security as well as your event in Singapore, AWS, where you bring the most interesting solution providers and customers together and help them implement and make system efficient. I want to ask you on your general view on the recent developments in AI and the recent comments by Dario Amadei from Anthropic that effectively 3 months is eternity in the current AI race. What excites you and what new technologies or innovations or solutions or plugins you see that actually are interesting?
So it's clear there is a constant change in technology, and there is an acceleration of not only adoption, but actually coming up with the latest technology. Today is agentic AI, yesterday was a generative AI, the day before was all about blockchain, it was about NFTs, it was about virtual reality.
Never boring in our industry.
Never boring. But there is clearly an acceleration. What is going to come tomorrow, nobody knows. It's going to be all the agentic AI and all the general AI. So there are these things that is happening. To me is if you want to stay ahead of the curve, you're always chasing something, you're never able to catch up. I'm not able to catch up on the latest and greatest. As soon as I read some news, it's already something that is old because something new is coming. So the secret of the game here, specifically in the travel industry, where you really need, you have various small margin and you have a lot of disruption that are occurring all the time. What you really need is actually be agile. And to be agile is you really need to adapt to what is happening in the world. Being able to catch up with technology is hard. So my recommendation is focus on what never changes your business and then apply the technology that is relevant at that given time that solve your specific problem. So identify what are the problems that are relevant to you. We already know, and if you want to set up a strategy, you should set it up on what never change, on the environment. We already know that fuel price will always be a problem. Fuel is going to be between 20 and 40% of the cost of any airline. So margins are always going to be low. Customers are always going to be disrupted. Customers will always want to be informed and kept up to date what is happening to their trip. We always know that travel is stressful. So finding solution of removing stress from your travel, communicating effectively to the customer, wherever they are, to the channel that they need, understanding who the customer is, so customer 360, optimization of your infrastructure, of your resources, of your equipment, supporting your workforce. So those are problems that will stay constantly. So my suggestion is, whatever is the technology that comes in, evaluate it with an open mind, but then work backward from the problem that you are trying to solve. So you are not chasing the technology, but you're chasing the solution that is there. We see it even today. I mean, it's 20 years that I am coming to events like this, and we are still talking about the customer 360.
Yeah.
I said, this is a consistent
We're just
problem.
using different systems.
Yeah, we are using different systems, but the problem is always the same. If we are still talking about that, it means that the problem has not been solved. So we should look at the solution of the problem, not the technology that will solve the problem. And that is core. Loyalty is always core. It's one of the most important part of the business in travel. We invented loyalty. So how are we transforming loyalty to make it more relevant in a world in which you have agentic AI or agentic commerce, or in the future of search, when loyalty can become ephemeral, when a brand is completely intermediated by an agent? What does that mean, the loyalty? How do you transform this? How do you communicate to the customer the value of being a loyal member? It's not only the benefit, but it's also the tangible things that you can get that you know you are paying for. Those are things that will never go out of fashion, and we should actually really focus on those to set up the strategy. So to Mr. Amodei, absolutely, bring on all the technology you want. We have plenty of problems to solve, and I'm sure we can find a way of doing it.
Massimo, it's great seeing you at Aviation Festival Asia, Singapore. Interesting times indeed. I wanted to ask you on the recent trend we're seeing in loyalty and customer experiences. Airline is a tough business, always was, typically low margin business, but we're seeing now a very interesting trend of airlines moving into media and media effectively piggybacking on the main airline business on loyalty, trying to reach a customer on the flight, on board, with the connective media and personalization. I mean, the airlines have the privilege of actually having a customer locked in a seat for anywhere from 1 hour to 13 hours when we fly. We're seeing the efforts from United with the kinetic media. How do you assess it? What is your view on that, and what do you think from the AWS and technology side?
This is, to me, what United has been doing is been opening up the floodgate of this kind of initiative. Media network has always been on the table, but airline travel suppliers were not really that good at reaching out the customer anywhere they were at, specifically in the plane, because there was a lack of connectivity. So what you were having in the past, you are using the in-flight entertainment, or even if you're using the networking connectivity into your own device, you were always seeing the same promotion, the same offer, no matter who you were. You were seeing always the credit card and getting more points and so forth. What United has been able to do is, by leveraging a combination of solutions, they were able to, first of all, enable connectivity, high-speed connectivity in the plane. They were able to get all their customer data, creating a single source of truth of customer, the famous customer 360. So they aggregated the duplicate and merged the customer data and their loyalty data. And then through a mechanism of clean room, they were able to anonymize it and expose it to third party. This third party could be hotels, car rental, restaurant, activity providers, tickets, and event providers. They can actually inquire that data and create a request like who is going to be in Singapore for the coming weekend. And for those specific people, I have a promotion to offer them. United is able to capture those information and present that specific and tailored offer to the specific customer through the in-flight entertainment or at the lounge or through the mobile app or the website, so they're having a more seamless experience, more tailored experience, and provide a better offer for whatever the customer might be looking at. There is actually a recent article on Skips that talking about that. There is an increase of customer satisfaction, there is an increase of expenditure from the customer, so more revenue coming into the airline, but also there is the living room experience that United is providing to their own customer, in which even when they are on the plane, they feel that they have been taken care of. So that enables them to have a higher satisfaction, and therefore they're being chosen among all the other providers, among all the other airlines that might be serving the same destination. So this is something that is happening today. It is built on AWS. It's delivering value both for the customers and to the airline. That is actually what we ultimately want.
It's actually quite a fundamental solution for the loyalty and personalization, because as we've seen with the Starlink connectivity being spread on, pretty much United is leading the race, but the game on.
And absolutely. We have a variety of provider now of connectivity. We were talking about that with Viasat, but Starlink is certainly the big elephant in the room. But even Amazon is bringing up with Amazon Leo, we are bringing up 3600 satellite, low orbit satellite that will provide high-speed internet into the plane. When you are getting access to the customers in the plane, it is transforming the customer experience. You can deploy hyper-personalization right there in the plane. You can improve operation, look at predicting maintenance, predicting catering, support on the ground. There are a variety of things that can be unlocked. So the future is very bright for travel suppliers.
That's amazing to hear in this interesting time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.